bringing a claim because of their belief. So whatever their belief is that legislation is law, and that gives them lawful excuse. It's true to that. So what happens is they bring that claim into court. If you don't rebut the claim, they get an order and a decision from the court, and that now is common law. So that's all that's happening. Until legislation has been through the courts, it does not have the force of law. The first time it's brought into a court, it's merely a claim. Okay? So once there's been a decision made on it, that then now is the common law.
The court's acting in error by following the statute.
Well, if you've got two idiots there, one called the prosecutor and one called the defender, who've got no idea what's going on, you've got crap law. They think legislation is law.
Until you bring in new case law.
Until you bring in new case law. Okay, now they don't know what equity is. 80 to 90% of them have no idea what equity is. Okay, but back to reinforce the independence of the judiciary. So the Lord Chancellor's oath is, his contract with you and me is to ensure the judiciary is independent. Anything that raises a suspicion to that is unlawful. End of. And we'll look at the substance. So then, basically anybody making a decision in the judiciary makes a judicial oath. Okay, and basically I do swear by, okay, the Almighty God solemnly and sincerely and truly declare and affirm. Right, people were going around asking police, are you acting under your oath? If I'm not under an oath, I can't say yes. Because if I did say yes, I'd be lying, wouldn't I? So, an oath basically comes from God. So, when they opened it up, because you got multi-religion, it became, you had the option to make an affirmation. Either you could change God to your God, or with godless people, you can make an affirmation to a higher power. So that's the difference. An oath is based on religion, or a religious belief of a higher power. An affirmation is to a higher power. Okay? But with time, it's changed into, they accept an attestation. So most young police and constables will not have taken an oath or affirmation. So when you go up to a young copper and say, are you acting under your oath? If he was to say yes, he'd be lying to you. So it's so important that we ask the right questions. Ask the wrong questions, we're going to get the wrong answers. So,
what do you ask if they've been sworn in? Have you been sworn in? As a constable, for instance. So, are you a constable? Yes. Have you been sworn in as a constable? And he says yes.
No, I haven't. I've been, attested. I've not been sworn in. Okay? But, so, the question is simple. Are you acting under your oath, affirmation, or attestation? Because those are the only three possibilities. Okay? And what is it? I swear, whatever, okay? I voluntarily, by my free will, without mental coercion, without physical coercion, enter into this contract that I will well and truly serve the monarch in the office of whatever the judge is, the judicial, okay? And I will do right to all manner of people after the laws. That's the contract with you and me. So, why are you acting according to legislation? Okay? So the judicial oath is saying according to law. It doesn't say legislation. Then where is it enforced? The law is enforced by the police. Okay? The police have made a contract with you, the people. Okay, I, of whatever police force, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve the monarch, in the office of constable with fairness, integrity, blah, 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 impartiality, blah, 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 all irrelevant. Why? All equal under the law, nobody's above the law, you don't need all that crap in there. And the substance is, I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved and prevent all offences against people and property, and it finishes according to law. That's the contract to the people. The police are meant to uphold the law that we create in the courts. Does it say their legislation anywhere? No. So why are they implementing legislation?
We're allowing it.
They're allowing it. Correct.
It doesn't say they'll enforce law, does it? It says they'll discharge their duties.
According to law.
Yeah, but that's the law governing how they do their job, not the law on the rest of us.
What they're saying is, the contract is to keep the peace,
Yes, yeah.
preserve,
Yeah.
to keep and preserve the peace, prevent all offences against people and property.
Yeah.
The offences against people and property are created in the courts according to law. So, cause the peace to be kept, cause the peace to be kept is defined in the common law. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay? But the problem is, it may be partially codified into legislation, and therefore they have no idea what is legislation or what is law. So basically on the legislation website, if they would do like I've done here, okay, and just said, 24, it would be so easy. Everybody would know what legislation is law and what is regulation or advice or anything else. Okay? So basically, from their contract with you and me, the people, by their free will that they entered, that there is the contract with the people. Okay? We have a social contract between one another to keep the peace, which means we must not breach the peace and we must enforce others don't breach the peace. Okay? And we pay the police full time to do it, so we don't have to spend our time doing it whilst we go do other stuff. So this is the contract.
For example, hate speech is an offence against people, isn't it?
Hate speech? Huh?
In
Define
legislation,
it.
hate speech is an offence against people.
Is
Yeah.
there a definition which
But it's got nothing to do with you.
So according to their oath, that's what they're
No.
promising to do.
No, where does it say legislation? I don't see where it says legislation.
It says,
It says law.
No, look, prevent all offences against people. So that's legislative.
According to law.
No, but that's
It says, I will do all of this according to law.
No, it doesn't say all of the above. It says discharge.
And while I continue, okay, blah, blah, blah,
I will
knowledge and discharge all of the duties thereof. So
Yeah,
I will
but-
do all of this stuff
No,
according to law.
it's discharge all the duties of the office.
And this here defines what they're going to be doing.
Which is prevent all offences against the people, and that
And they will do that according to law.
it doesn't say they'll do.
It does.
do
And while I continue to hold the said office,
yeah.
okay, this is what I'm doing whilst I'm in office, okay? I'll do so to the best of my skills and knowledge, okay, of all of these duties defined here, faithfully according to law. It's very clear, it's according to law. All of this stuff they will do according to law, not according to legislation.
Well, the offences is
Decided in the law, not in legislation.
what it says is they'll discharge their duties according to law.
Correct, these are the duties. Keep the peace, cause the peace to be kept and preserved, and prevent all offences against people and property.
Yeah.
So, keep the peace is defined according to law.
But
The offences against people is defined in the law. The offences against property is defined in the law, not in legislation, in law.
okay.
But the
Well,
legislation defines offences.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to
Yeah,
say?
yeah.
No, it claims.
Yeah.
It claims.
Yeah.
Okay? If it was meant to be according to legislation, they would quite simply say according to Acts of Parliament. What's the problem? But it says the law. And by their own admission, there's legislation, there's law, and there's customs.
It is effectively saying that legislation is subordinate to law.
Legislation is subordinate to law by their own admission. Okay? Right, now, basically, those are contracts. And the reason those contracts are enforceable in courts of law is because they pay out of public purse. Do you see what I'm saying there? Are you not happy with it?
On the word offence, because the word offence, like you've got criminal offence, you've got civil offence, you've got...
It makes no difference what
So
word.
that-
Equity
I
is
know where
substance.
you're coming from.
Harm. Change the word offence to harm.
So there you go.
Simple.
Exactly. So the key word is according to the law. which is
Correct.
They're saying they'll discharge their duties according
Yeah, but it still says...
Yeah, but their
those
duties-
duties.
What do you see as their duties, right?
So what are their duties?
What are their duties?
So in that
In this
what are their
contract,
duties?
what are their duties?
So read from I name and then...
Their duties, rights and obligations, what are
I
they?
declare and affirm that I will well and truly serve the monarch in the office of constable.
So that's one duty, I will serve the monarch.
Yeah. With fairness, integrity, diligence and impartiality, upholding fundamental human rights.
Yeah.
So upholding human rights, according equal respect to all people. I will, to the best of my power, cause the peace to be kept and preserved.
Right,
So that's-
is that a duty? To cause the peace
Yeah.
to be kept? Okay, next one.
And prevent all offences.
Is that a duty?
Yeah, but it's not clear that...
Is that a duty?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, next one.
And property.
Is that a duty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, carry on.
And that I will continue to hold the said office. I will, to the best of my skill and knowledge, discharge all the duties thereof faithfully.
Under the
So,
condition.
These duties you've just listed,
Yeah.
and so how will you uphold them?
Faithfully according to law.
Correct. Where's legislation at? Nowhere. Okay? You need to understand, legislation is merely a claim. Once that claim has been, that dispute is settled in court, now it's law.
Now, according to them, they might think that law is legislation.
Correct.
That's where we-
They believe legislation is law. They don't understand how it gets the force of law.
And-
It's an academic point until they convict the first person on it.
Correct.
And then it's law.
Correct. And that's why it's so important, if you've got idiots creating the law, that we, as litigants in person, are the check and balance. We need to
Okay.
police them.
But in court, okay, we're dealing with barristers, etc., etc. Here we are willing to, we want to hear what you've got to say,
Yeah.
okay, but barristers don't.
And hence, we need to hold them to account according to their rules.
Yeah, so,
Now with the judge, we can hold them to account.
Yeah.
The police we can hold to account according to their oath, affirmation or attestation.
I'm trying to illustrate here how difficult it will be to do
Oh, I
that
agree. It's not
in court.
I agree, it's not
Sorry, thanks for going through that.
Yeah. Okay, but you see.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll look more at it. Right, so is this anything new? No. All right, this is the Boris Johnson judgment 2019, quoting from 1600s. Okay, the courts have exercised the supervisory jurisdiction over the decisions of the executive for centuries. Nothing new. The supremacy of the courts over those governing. Okay? 1611, 400 years ago, we've settled this crap. We're still arguing about it.
But that's old law. It doesn't count.
The old law is good law for a reason. It stands the test of time. Okay? The limits of prerogative powers set by law, determined by the courts. Parliament's supremacy is only over Her Majesty's government. 300 years ago. Okay? So, again, if we look there, in that case, Antwerp, it says that the Secretary of State, i.e. a standing agent, it could be the Prime Minister, cannot affect the substance. Okay, this particular issue was about search orders of private property. The substance means any action. Okay, this is just one particular one. Without authority of either, okay, it says or, an act of parliament or the common law. Again, it's telling us there are two different things. Acts of parliament is one thing, the law is something else. Okay? And
Mark, I'm sorry, but I'm not clear on this one again, because we did talk about it before. But
Yeah.
what that is saying is that an Act of Parliament is sufficient to give the Secretary of State,
if there's no law.
well, it could be either or. But
The law stands above parliament. Okay?
okay.
So if the law says a certain act is unlawful,
Yeah.
then that act is unlawful. So, in the beginning, let's go and do searches. Here, I'm the minister. Okay? If I can't show authority from an act of parliament or the common law, I cannot do that. Okay? If there's common law that says I can, then I can do it. If there's no common law and there's an act of parliament, then I can do it. Okay?
So such an Act of Parliament would be fundamentally unlawful anyway by breach of the Bill of Rights.
Correct.
But they're still saying that that would be enough to authorise the Secretary of State to allow a property to be searched.
But that would be unlawful.
So
It
we
might be legal, but it's not lawful.
But that's case law saying that an Act of Parliament can give that authority.
Yeah, and then that claim goes into the court and gets the power of law.
That is law. That is case law.
Yeah, okay, so they make a new act of parliament, okay, so this has never happened before, change searches to CV, okay, and then they come with their claim of CV, an act of parliament to do something, okay, so that there is giving them legal authority. That then goes up as a claim in the court, and if the courts uphold it, because you've got a bad barrister, a bad defence lawyer, then that becomes the common law.
My point is that is common law. because
Correct,
case
it's common law. What it's saying is,
authorised.
unless you've got an act of parliament saying you can do it, or you've got the common law saying you can do
Yeah.
it, you can't do it.
So
You
that-
need to show us one of the two.
That's common law saying
Correct.
if you've got an Act of Parliament, then you can kick someone's door in and search their property.
Correct.
That's the common law saying.
until you challenge it.
Until there's a common law which deems that unlawful. And you use the rules of
We
equity.
need new common law to undo that common law.
Correct.
Yeah.
An act of parliament is merely a claim.
Yeah.
Once it's been tested in the court, then it gains the force of law. So they can enact whatever they like.
But that is the test in the court.
Correct. So you create an act of parliament, okay? You make your claim and take me to court, and then we go and settle whether it's lawful in the courts or not. If that act of parliament is now deemed unlawful, then that act of parliament is void. It has no lawful effect. Okay? So if you try again then with that same act of parliament, we have now case precedents that is unlawful.
On that particular act.
Correct.
Because every time they create a new act, they can come and kick your door in.
Correct. No, because once there's a law established, the principles of that law apply. The substance. So you can't change the form laws.
But what's the principle of that law?
It's quite simple. Go make an act of parliament
Yeah.
for something new. Okay? Once we've established an equitable rule of law that applies to that, whatever you do on that always will get shot down with the principle of law. End of. You can enact it 1,000,000 times, but if you're still going against the principle of law, it has no force of law.
I'm missing something. But move on.
No, but it's an act of parliament is merely a claim. That's it.
But that case law saying that claim is enough to go and search someone's private property.
Correct. The first time round. Once it's been through the courts, that act of parliament, if it's not got lawful authority, it's buggered.
It's badly phrased, that's what it boils down to. It's inconsistent, it's not,
Okay. I mean, essentially, that there, what it's saying is, Act of Parliament, law. Okay? If they're saying an Act of Parliament will do, what are they doing? They're showing bias. No independence, therefore it's unlawful already from that. Okay, now the dispute with Boris Johnson was about, can he prorogue Parliament or not? Can Boris Johnson prorogue Parliament or not? Okay, is this lawful? Hands up. Who thinks it's lawful?
What does prorogue mean?
Prorogue, allow, basically say to Parliament, you guys are buggering off on holiday now.
No,
Depends on the
justitiae.
circumstances.
Okay?
is that, the question
question
is it law?
Is it lawful?
No,
Why not?
because it's the agent can't tell the principal what to do.
Okay, that's one reason. Let's get more basic. Is it lawful?
Legal.
No, is it lawful is the question. Can you prorogue Parliament?
No.
Okay, therefore it's unlawful. Can you prorogue Parliament? You can't. Therefore, it's not lawful. So then it becomes a question of, is it legal? What's the relationship? Okay, there's a principal-agency relationship, and then you need to go into the law as to, or to determine that principal-agency relationship. Okay, and the principal-agency relationship is a legal matter, not a matter of law. But as we'll see, that there again is what the purpose of the independent judiciary is to do. Okay, can the judiciary nullify acts of parliament? Common sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because it's such a
Yes, it's actually an existing law, yeah.
Yeah.
Did the judiciary create acts of parliament?
No.
No.
So what makes you think it can nullify, uncreate it? It can't. The judiciary didn't create acts of parliament, therefore it can't uncreate them.
Yeah, they can rule for and
They can
against.
rule, yeah.
They can rule whether they're lawful or not,
Oh, right, sorry.
but they can't uncreate it.
No, okay.
Can Parliament uncreate law?
They're trying, but no.
They can. Oh, sorry, no.
No, they can't.
Oh, it's so.
No, they can't, because they didn't create it, therefore they've got no authority to uncreate it. Okay? So the principal-agency relationship stands true. If I've not created, if I have not authority to create, I have no authority to uncreate. Therefore, courts can't uncreate acts of parliament. All they can do is declare them unlawful. The judiciary, decisions, the court, parliament cannot make their acts of parliament lawful to overrule existing law. Why? Quite simple. You do not have authority. You didn't create the bloody stuff. Therefore, you can't uncreate it. So basically, going back to the Boris Johnson judgment, okay, again going back, this has been settled hundreds of years ago, okay, the lawfulness of acts of parliament, i.e. the executive, the agents, is determined in the courts, and only the judge is the one that decides that. Parliament can't decide itself if it's acting lawfully or not, or their acts are lawful or not. They are two separate things. Okay? So this again has been settled hundreds of years ago, so why the hell are we arguing about this nonsense? Okay, so basically, what is the function of the judiciary? And we'll have a break now, and you'll see that it's really simple. If the kiddies can't sort out their arguments in private, and they come for public dispute resolution, we need a neutral arbitrator to look at the evidence of the crying babies Okay? And based upon that evidence, make a determination as to who's right and who's wrong. That is the only function of the judiciary. So, basically, if it's a fight between the legislative body or the executive, or the people with the legislative body or the executive, or one person against another, it makes no difference who the argument's about. Their job is to unbiased resolve the dispute if the kids can't sort out their own mess. Okay, right, let's have a break then, and then we'll...
Yeah. Don't need to be a
Yeah, I'll have a break then. Have a look at this. Okay, but, I mean, Dwayne...
I don't need to disrupt.
No, the thing is, I'm not getting through explaining it my way. Okay, and it's important because everybody understands things differently. I've got the problem. Because I have not found a way of expressing what I'm trying to express. That's my
Well, I haven't found a way of
responsibility.
understanding.
Correct. Therefore, we need to find a way of getting this through. So, but what it's saying, so if we look at the substance, any action must be authorised by either, according to that, which is common law, either by an act of parliament or by the common law. We're in agreement with that.
Yeah.
That's not in dispute.
No.
So either of the two can legally authorise the actions. Yeah? So what I think you're trying to say is, well, an act of parliament, they can just make them up left, right, and centre.
What I'm saying is because that's case law,
Yeah,
it's common, it's established common law,
yeah.
they can come kick your door down without authorised by an act of parliament.
Okay, so the question becomes is, do they have authority to create that act of parliament? And that there could be by another common law judgment saying you can't do this. But we need to find a way of
I just think, is it me or is that bad law?
it's ambiguously written,
Yeah.
but because the unwritten constitution is the law, okay, so legitimate aim, rational and proportionate, that there's unwritten constitutional law, a constraint on their actions. Therefore,
You're just making a mistake because you can't authorise that. This is a breach of the Bill of Rights.
okay, that's one way, okay, but nobody's asked that question and therefore it's not been corrected.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is why through time and better expression, we more accurately define the constraints. So, under the rules of equity, if you came and said, under this Act of Parliament I'm doing X, Y, and Z, I don't care about it. Why? Because under the rules of equity you have obligations to prove whether your action is lawful or not.
Yeah.
I don't care about that judgment. Okay? Because I apply the rules of equity.
Yeah, so we can get round it.
Of course we can get around it.
As it stands,
It's,
bad law.
It's bad law.
To my mind.
It could be
the
better
judge has
expressed.
made a mistake.
well, in the first instance, if there's a new thing, there might not be existing common law.
But they're using statute to kick people's door down all the time.
Yeah, okay, don't concentrate on the kick doors now. Okay?
Well, it's property.
Yeah, okay. Don't concentrate on that. What is the substance? It's an act, any act. Okay? So don't keep it focused on kicking a door down. Any act.
Yeah.
Okay? So if there's no existing common law, or no act of parliament authorising it, it's unlawful.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
They've got to have authority.
they've got to have authority.
Yeah.
So if there's authority in the common law allowing it, then they can do it.
Yeah.
If there's no authority in the common law, then if there's authority from an act of parliament, then they can do it.
Yeah.
So somewhere they need authority to authorise their activity, their action, not everything action. But yeah, I agree. It could be much better. This is really well with the district that you need. It's really well with the district that you need.
Yes, it comes naturally.
Basically, it's under absolutely.
And he will go to the source of where it comes from and what show his work.
I'm mad, my yeah, I'm just going to stick it there.
I know where you're coming from. I know exactly where you're coming from. It's really, it's hard to find. So for me, nothing can be done to interpretation. It is or it isn't. That's the way I look at the law. So it's like if I slap you in the face, I've slapped you in the face. Then either it is or it isn't. I either did or didn't slap you in the face. And obviously the evidence means that in the court, I've got a mark in the face, I've got a red hand. And ultimately then deal with that's the way I kind of try and look at things, do you know what I mean? I try and use in my, I mean, don't get me wrong, my work is
When I arrived here,